Hello, my name is John Dennison from the World Rugby Memorial Project based in Lens, France, and welcome to our World War II Rugby Heroes video. 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, and this video is dedicated to all rugby players from around the world who took part in the conflict across the globe. Sadly, some were lost, while many returned home to restart their lives. As we commemorate the rugby players, we also remember all victims of World War II. This video forms part of our Flame of Remembrance event series taking place between 2020 and 2023 across Europe and the United Kingdom. I would like to thank all those who sent in their nominations and for being part of this tribute on behalf of rugby supporters everywhere. Also, I would like to thank my friends Hayden Hart for recording the audio links and John Main at Ridgeway Technology for editing and producing this video. You can follow World Rugby Memorial on Facebook and Twitter and contact us at rugbymemorial@gmail.com. And if you want to be part of or attend future events, then please contact us. Finally, this video is dedicated to my father, Richard Dick Dennison, 1918-1972, who served in Egypt, India, and Burma in World War II.
Joe Shepherd from County Wexford, Ireland.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Prince Alexander Obolensky, who played for Leicester Tigers, Roslyn Park, England, the British and Irish Lions, and the Barbarians. He took part in World War II with the Royal Air Force and was killed in 1940.
Richard Scarcliffe from Corsham, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Donald Cobden, who played for Canterbury and New Zealand, who took part in the Battle of Britain with 74 and 76 squadrons at RAF Hornchurch in 1940.
Katie Tingley from Clifton, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is John Richard Easonsmith, who played for Clifton Rugby and took part in the North African campaign with the Long Range Desert Group in 1940 to 1943.
Brian Rolfe from the Royal Hospital, Chelsea, London, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Paul Cook. He played for Oxford University in Richmond in England. He died during the defence of Dunkirk while serving with the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry in 1940.
Jean Robinson from Cape Town, South Africa.
My World War II rugby player to remember is my father, Septimus Rademeyer, who played for Western Province in South Africa and took part in the North African campaign with the SA Infantry Anti-Aircraft Division in the early 1940s.
Gwyn Prescott from Cardiff, Wales.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Bleddyn Williams, who played for Cardiff, Wales and the British Lions, who took part in the crossing of the Rhine with the RAF, Attached A Squadron, Glider Pilot Regiment in 1945.
Chris Price from England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Blair Paddy Mayne, who played for Ireland and the British Lions. Mayne served in the North Africa and European campaigns with 1st Regiment SAS from 1940 until the end of the war.
Hugh Barrow from Glasgow, Scotland.
My World War II rugby player is Eric Liddell, who played for Edinburgh University in Scotland and won Olympic gold at 400 metres, setting a world record of 47.6 seconds at Colombes Stadium, Paris. He died in a Japanese internment camp in 1945.
Richard Lowther from Wakefield, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Clifford Herbert Hobson, who played for Wakefield and Durham County. He enlisted into the Royal Tank Regiment and was unfortunately killed in a training accident on the 31st of January 1942.
Martin Whitcomb from Yorkshire, England.
Hello, my name is Martin Whitcomb from England. My World War II rugby player to remember is John Jackie Moore, killed in action, who played for Bradford Northern England. He took part in the Battle of the Java Sea with the Royal Navy in 1942.
Phil Atkinson from Rhymney, Wales.
My World War II rugby player to remember became Major Sir Tasker Watkins, who played for Glamorgan Wanderers and who took part in the Normandy campaign with the Welsh Regiment in 1944, winning the Victoria Cross and going on to be President of the Welsh Rugby Union.
Peter Owens from Wales.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Lieutenant John R. Evans, who played for Newport and captained Wales in 1934 and who was sadly killed taking part in the Tunisia campaign with the 3rd Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, on March the 8th, 1943.
Stephen Cooper from London, England.
My World War II rugby player is Edward de Vere Hunt, known as Ted, who played for the Army, Rosslyn Park, Wanderers and the Barbarians and won 5 caps for Ireland. He was killed at Wong Nei Chang Gap with the Hong Kong and Singapore Royal Artillery in December 1940.
Mike Cox from Northampton, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Dick Crofts, who played for Long Buckby and Northampton, who took part in the Normandy campaign following D-Day in 1944 with the Northamptonshire Yeomanry and was killed on the 27th of June 1944 near Berneres and is buried at Bayeux Cemetery, France.
Terry Cathers from Northern Ireland.
The World War II rugby player to remember is Captain Robert Alexander, who played for Royal Belfast Academical Institution, Barbarians and Ireland, who took part in the Sicily campaign with the 2nd Battalion Royal Enniskilling Fusiliers and died in July 1943.
Paul Shanks from North Wales.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Group Captain George Beamish, who played for the RAF, Leicester Rugby Club, Ireland and the British Isles and took part in the Western Desert Campaign in 1942.
Helen Wheat from Wakefield, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Jack Ellis, who played for Wakefield, Yorkshire and England and enlisted into the Royal Army Services Corps and helped liberate Belston in 1945.
Doug Sturrock from Canada.
My World War II player to remember is Lloyd Williams, who played for Marilomas and Vancouver and took part in the D-Day landing at Juno Beach in Normandy in 1944 with the Royal Canadian Navy.
Frederick Humbert from Paris, France.
My World War II rugby player to remember is American-born Alan Muir, who played for Racing Club de France and 3 times capped for France, who took part to the Battle of France in 1940 as second in command of American Field Service ambulances. In 1942, Alan Muir went underground with French resistance until he was arrested and deported. Le joueur de rugby dont je veux me souvenir pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale est l'Américain Alan Muir, qui joua au Racing Club de France et 3 fois en équipe de France, qui prit part à la bataille de France en 1940 comme commandant en second des ambulances de l'American Field Service. En 1942, Alan Muir passa à la clandestinité avec la résistance. Il fut arrêté et déporté en 1943. My World War II rugby player to remember is Géo André, who played for Racing Club de France, 8 times for France, and who also participated to 4 Olympic Games as a track and field athlete. Géo André took part in the North Africa campaign with French Free Corps in Africa in 1942. Le joueur de rugby dont je vais me souvenir pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale est Géo André, qui joua pour le Racing Club de France, 8 fois en équipe de France et qui participa également à 4 Jeux Olympiques avec l'équipe de France d'athlétisme. Géo André prit part à la campagne d'Afrique du Nord avec les Corps francs d'Afrique de 1942 à 1943.
Peter Brown from Blackheath, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Brigadier Hugh Llewellyn Glyn Hughes, CBE, DSO and 2 bars, CC and MRCS, who played for United Hospitals, Blackheath FC, Barbarians. He took part in the liberation of Bergen-Belsen with the Royal Army Medical Corps, attached to the 11th Armoured Division in 1945.
Mandy Brown from Blackheath, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Pilot Officer Brian Henry Black, who played for Oxford University, Blackheath FC, the Barbarians, England and the British Lions. He took part in the war with the Royal Air Force in 1940.
Paul Neeser from Ponsonby, New Zealand.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Bill Carson, who played for Ponsonby, Auckland and New Zealand, who took part in the Crete, North Africa and Italy campaigns with the 2nd NZEF between 1941 and 1944.
Derek Luxford from Sydney, Australia.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Corporal Kennan Mackenzie Ramsey, who played for Randwick in Australia and who was captured in the defence of New Guinea with the 2nd 1st Independent Company and died when the Japanese prison ship Montevideo Maru was torpedoed on July 1st, 1942.
Chris Gaffey from Manchester, England.
My World War II player to remember is Joseph Dickinson, who played for Eccles and who took part in the Allied invasion of Normandy in 1944, serving on HMS Blackwood.
Stan Madej from Amiens, France.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Captain Etienne Piqueral, who played for CA Périgourdin, Racing Club de France, Lyon, and 19 times for France. He took part in the defense of France with the 248th Regiment of Artillery, and he was captured at Toul, Meurthe-et-Moselle, in June 1940, and later died as a prisoner of war at Oflag XB in Nürnberg, Germany, on March 13, 1945. Le joueur de rugby de la Seconde Guerre mondiale dont je souhaite me souvenir est le capitaine Étienne Piqueral. Il a porté 19 fois le maillot de l'équipe de France. Il a joué pour le CA Périgourdin, le Racing Club de France et Lyon. Il a participé à la défense de la France avec le 248e régiment d'artillerie et il a été capturé à Toul, en Meurthe-et-Moselle, en juin 1940. Il est décédé plus tard en tant que prisonnier de guerre à Oflag XB à Nienburg, Allemagne, le 13 mars 1945.
Clarissa Luxford from Sydney, Australia.
My World War II rugby player to remember is Norman Nob Hill, who played for Randwick. Mr. Hill served as a wireless air gunner in World War II. When the war ended in 1945, Nob was selected for the Australian Armed Services rugby team, playing against Wales at Cardiff Arms Park. On his return to Australia, Nob lived in Coogee, returning to play for and then coach at Randwick Rugby.
Richard Hornblow from Basingstoke, England.
My World War II rugby player to remember is John Tubby Linton, VC DSO DSC, who played for the United Services, the Royal Navy and Hampshire. He commanded his submarine HM Turbulent in the Mediterranean until it was lost in 1943 and was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross.
John Thorburn from Hawick, Scotland.
This is John Thorburn from Hawick and the Scottish Borders. My World War II rugby player to remember is Bill McLaren, who played for Hawick and went on to become known as the voice of rugby as a commentator for 49 years with the BBC. Bill served with the 5th Medium Regiment of the Royal Artillery and served in Monte Cassino in Italy.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for their tomorrow we gave our today.